Coming up next on Hootens Arkansas football, highlights from the first week of the 2003 high school season, including a look back at Monday's quadruple header in the alltellhootens.com Kickoff Classic. Plus, plenty of highlights from last night, and we'll take you to Pulaski Oak Grove for this week's Scholar Athlete of the Week. It's 30 minutes of hard-hitting high school highlights next on Hootens Arkansas football. The 2003 high school season is off to a great start. Hello and welcome to Hootens Arkansas football. I'm Chad Hooten, and for the next 15 weeks we will be here every Saturday night showing you Arkansas high school football at its best. Highlights from week one coming up in the next 30 minutes. We'll show them to you classification by classification, our updated top 20 polls, and more. That's all coming up in the next 30 minutes tonight and every Saturday night throughout the high school football season. And tonight we will begin with a look at Class 5A. One of the bigger games in the state last night played up at Searcy, where the Lions played host to the Sylvan Hills Bears, and that's where we'll begin. Our Class 5A highlights brought to you by First Security Bank. Sylvan Hills made it to the Class 4A state championship game last year despite losing to Searcy in the season opener. On their first possession, tailback Kamin Kareem slices his way through the Lions, 45 yards for a touchdown. That puts Sylvan Hills up 7-0. A little bit later in the first quarter, it's junior fullback Hezekiah Smith taking the pitch 19 yards around the end for another Sylvan Hills touchdown. The Bears were up 14-0, but Searcy would storm back in the second half behind the running of future Arkansas Razorback Weston Dacus. And with the score tied at 21 late in the fourth quarter, Searcy gives the ball to Dacus on 8 of 9 plays, including the game winner from 1 yard out, as Searcy squeaks by Sylvan Hills. Final score, Lions 28, Bears 21.
Coach just was depending on me to make the big plays and hand me the ball every play, and luckily I got in.
Feels real good. You know, everybody expected us to be the underdogs, but we came out on top. We made a lot of improvement on the line, and they stepped it up. It's pretty good.
In the River Valley, it doesn't get any bigger than Russellville against Morrilton. Always a big crowd on hand for this rivalry matchup. Russellville made it to the playoff semifinals last season, and the Cyclones picked up right where they left off last year, putting the mercy rule on Morrilton in the first half. Nathan Brown throws the screen to Kevin Elliott on the first play of the game, 66 yards for the touchdown. Brown would go on to pass for 242 yards and 3 touchdowns, including another one to Elliott in the first half. Sonic super teamer Tracy Steiger scored 3 touchdowns in the first half, and Russellville rolls. Final score, Cyclones 46, Morrilton 6. Cabot and Conway, 2 conference co-champions from last season, meeting in Conway, and this one was all grins for the Wampus Cats as Cabot struggled with 6 turnovers. Conway turned 2 of Cabot's early miscues into scores. The first TD, a 53-yard pass from junior quarterback Brandon Solberg to Kevin Wardlow. And the second score came on this 20-yard run by the Cat Quick Wardlow. It was 14-0 early in the second quarter, and Conway goes on to beat fumbling Cabot. Final score, Wampus Cats 20, Cabot 0. Defending state champion Fort Smith Southside taking on the El Dorado Wildcats, and Southside welcoming back Sonic Super Team quarterback John Thomas. Thomas tosses back across the field to Evan Tiller. He goes 25 yards for a 7-0 Southside lead. And about 5 minutes later, Thomas will toss to a streaking Slick Shelley coming across the middle, and into the end zone Slick goes. It's a 17-yard score. The Rebels were up 14-0. El Dorado would get on the board just 15 seconds before halftime. John Shepard's toss to the corner, and a nice grab by Earl Singleton. It was 14-7 at the break, but Southside and Thomas kept throwing in the third. A 66-yard scoring play. This time, Thomas to Sean Penix, and the defending state champs are 1-0. Final score, Fort Smith Southside 23, El Dorado 21. And here's a look at Hootens Arkansas football Class 5A rankings. Springdale stays on top. The Bulldogs scored 62 on Pulaski Academy. They'll score as many as they want on Shiloh Tuesday night before heading to Jinx, Oklahoma in Week 3. Fort Smith Southside sticks at number 2. Conway, Bryant, and Russellville all move up. The Cyclones, an impressive win over Morrilton last night. Fayetteville starts the second 5, followed by Little Rock Central. El Dorado sticking at number 8. West Memphis drops down to number 9, and Bentonville is number 10. Cabot starts the second 10, followed by Camden Fairview. North Little Rock hanging on at number 13 after a heartbreaker last night to Camden Fairview. Pine Bluff moves up one spot, and Jacksonville jumps up a couple of places. Texarkana 16, followed by the Rogers Mounties. Ronnie Peacock is in his third season at Rogers, and the third year could be a charm. Northside is 18, Lake Hamilton 19, and the Searcy Lions, after an impressive win over Sylvan Hills, round out the top 20. Now, Coleman Dairy presents the Coleman Kid of the Week. The Bryant Hornets are known for their prolific passing attack, and 2003 may be their most successful season in school history. In his first varsity start, senior quarterback Scott Peeler passed for more than 300 yards and 4 touchdowns with no interceptions as the Hornets rallied from a 2-touchdown deficit to beat Warren on Monday night at Ward Memorial Stadium. Scott Peeler off to a great start with the Bryant Hornets and our Coleman Kid of the Week. And congratulations to Scott Peeler and the Bryant Hornets on their big win Monday against the Warren Lumberjacks. Coming up next, more of Hootens Arkansas football. Class 4A highlights straight ahead. And we begin our Class 4A highlights up in Jackson County. It's always big when Newport and Batesville get together. Although Batesville has had the upper hand the past 4 years, last night would be no different as Sonic Super Team quarterback Kyle Francis passed for 234 yards and 4 touchdowns, including this 89-yarder to Patrick Smith. Newport was without its star running back Fred Brown and scored just once in the first half. Cordero Tidwell gets in. It was 42-6 at the break, and Batesville rolls. Final score, Pioneers 49, Newport 12. The Clarksville Panthers and Coach Michael Banning performed well last season in their first year as a member of Class 4A, winning at Magnolia in the playoffs. Monday, Clarksville was in Little Rock for the AllTellHootens.com Kickoff Classic, taking on their rival Ozark Hillbillies. And the Hillbillies looked like they belonged in the big city in the first half. Michael Bowman outjumps Clarksville secondary for the pass from Chaz Holderman, and that would set up Ozark's first touchdown. A 7-yard run by Jared Reno, followed by a 2-point conversion by James Hillard, and the Hillbillies were up 8-0. Midway through the second quarter, Ozark added to its lead with this 17-yard run by Jonathan Flanagan. He won't go down, and Ozark was up 15-0 at halftime. Clarksville opened the third quarter with a 74-yard touchdown drive, capped by Juan Elizondo's 9-yard touchdown pass to Nick Lyons, followed by a 2-point pass from Elizondo to Jonathan Brown. Then, after an Ozark turnover, Clarksville would tie it up. Elizondo passing to the corner of the end zone. Jonathan Brown's got it, and it was tied at 15 heading into the fourth quarter. But Ozark got a turnover midway through the final stanza and made it count. Jonathan Flanagan gets loose down the sidelines for a 48-yard hillbilly run. It would set up Ozark's winning score as Jared Reno takes it in from 16 yards out, and the Hillbillies leave the big city with the big trophy from the AllTellHootens.com Kickoff Classic. Final score, Ozark 22, Clarksville 15. And here's a look at Hootens Arkansas football Class 4A rankings. Stuttgart used a late field goal to slip by Malvern. Things will get a little tougher next week for the Ricebirds traveling to Pulaski Academy. Alma's number 2, there's Sylvan Hills, and Harrison, which will probably contend for the 4A West title. Hope scored a touchdown in the final seconds to beat Nashville last night. Greenwood's number 6, Batesville's number 7. Wynn's defense could be one of the best in 4A. Crossett's number 9, and Valonia handled Pulaski Oak Grove last night. Valonia should compete with Wynn and Batesville in the 4A East. Hot Springs checks in at number 11. The Trojans had trouble hanging on to the ball last night against Lake Hamilton. West Helena's number 12 and Robinson is 13. The Senators are passing the ball better this year and could win the 4A Southwest if they stay healthy. Paragould rolled up crosstown rival Greene County Tech last night. Marion's 15, then it's Morrilton. Greenbrier is ranked number 17. That's as high as the Panthers have been ranked in 5 years. BB's 18, then it's Monticello. The Billies handled Hamburg last night and are now set for next week's rivalry against Warren. And Magnolia, the Panthers, round out the Class 4A Top 20. More of Hootens Arkansas football. Class 3A highlights are next. In the first game of the alltellhootens.com Kickoff Classic on Monday at War Memorial Stadium, Shiloh Christian stepped up against Class 5A Benton. And what turned out to be the best game of the day. Shiloh jumped to a 15-0 lead early and then made it 21-7 late in the half with this sweet 59-yard TD toss. Senior quarterback Nathan Emmert hooks up with Brady Arthur for the score. But Benton would rally and take the lead in the third quarter on this 25-yard romp by Chris Miner. That put the Panthers up 23-21. Benton would add to its lead in the fourth quarter on this 40-yard touchdown run by quarterback Justin Ray. The Panthers were up by 9 heading down the stretch. But Shiloh responded with an 80-yard scoring drive to cut Benton's lead to 3 to set up a dramatic finish for Shiloh. Facing 4th down and 6 with just 52 seconds left. Emmert escapes containment, then directs his brother Luke Emmert to go long. The pass sails over Benton's secondary and is good for a 49-yard winning score. The Emmert brothers and Shiloh take home a giant Kickoff Classic trophy, beating a 5A opponent for the first time. Final score, Shiloh Christian 34, Benton 30. The Arkansas Army National Guard did it Australian style, bringing in the game ball for the second game of the Kickoff Classic between Pulaski Academy and Springdale. These two teams wanted to play each other, but the feeling wasn't mutual about 5 minutes into it. Zach Butler ran for 16 yards on Springdale's first offensive play, and Josh Field scored 2 plays later on a 14-yard run to give the Bulldogs their first of 9 touchdowns. Touchdown number 2 went to Aaron Finch, a sophomore, who blocks the punt and returns it 25 yards. Springdale would keep rolling. In the second quarter, Martinez hits Brock Posey with his 12-yard touchdown. That made it 41-0 in the second quarter. It was 48-0 at halftime, complete and total domination by the 5A Red Dogs. Your final, Springdale 62, Pulaski Academy 0.
Well, obviously it didn't turn out remotely the way we wanted it to. The only good thing I think that come from it is our guys fought to the end. You know, we didn't want to quit in a situation like that, and we didn't do that. Springdale is an unbelievably good team. They jumped on us early, kind of dug a hole, and it makes it tough when you get down early to dig your way out of that.
Two-time defending state champion Warren jumped out on Bryan in the final game of the Kickoff Classic Monday night at War Memorial. The Bruins built a 14-0 lead in the first quarter. Junior quarterback Aaron Rowell hooks up with classmate Ricardo Kemp for this 24-yard gain, and that will set up a 3-yard scoring run by Kemp. It was 14-0. But the second quarter belonged to Bryant. The Hornets scored 23 straight, including this 20-yard touchdown pass from Scott Peeler to Zach Cardinal just 27 seconds before halftime. Junior Todd Bryan intercepted 3 passes for the Hornets and kicked a 34-yard field goal. Meanwhile, Warren committed 6 turnovers for the second straight year against a 5A team in the Kickoff Classic. Final score, Bryant 34, Warren 20.
They were doing some things in the secondary, you know, that we took advantage of, you know, early. Stupid mistakes on my part, being boneheaded, trying to do things that we shouldn't have been doing, hurt us. But after we settled in, the defense played great. They kept us in it.
And here's a look at Hootens Arkansas football Class 3A rankings. Pulaski Academy stays on top. The Bruins must bounce back, though, mentally and physically, from that beating against Springdale. The Curly Wolves showed that they are legit by demolishing Gurdon last night. Warren is a junior-laden team and will be rolling by mid-October. Ozark handled Clarksville last week and looks like the favorites in the 4 AAA. OCO is number 5, then it's Rivercrest and Star City. Star City has an easy non-conference schedule and should be healthy for the 8 AAA. Newport's number 8, and then it's Dollarway. Dollarway lost to a top team from Texas last night and faces Pine Bluff next week. Nashville rounds out the top 10. The Scrappers lost a heartbreaker on the Hill last night, but should bounce back next week at Pleasant Grove, Texas. Boonville starts the second 10. The Bearcats defense held Mena to just 22 yards last night. Oak Grove's number 12, then it's Ashdown and Shiloh Christian. The Saints were spectacular last week in their comeback against Benton. Waldron's number 15, running back Sean Kearney is one of the best in the state over at Waldron. CAC 16, then it's Dover and Gosnell. The Pirates struggled in a 7-0 win over Lone Oak last night. Dumas is number 19, and McGee rounds out the top 20.
Now the Marine Scholar Athlete of the Week.
And physical excellence.
When Hornets offensive lineman Spencer Kaufman gets in his three-point stance, his focus is on moving forward.
I just try to get down there and just try to psych myself out. In my head, I just think over and over, what I'm going to do, I'm going to knock this person off the floor, I'm going to knock him off the ground.
Big Spencer is equally big in the classroom, sporting a 3.6 GPA. Bucking the stereotype, this lineman feels bronze and brains are needed up front.
You just got to remember all the plays. Offensive lineman is you got to be one of the smartest people on the team. All the different plays you got to do.
Okay, so it's 3rd and 1 for the Hornets. Well, guess what side they're going to run to?
We've got a back there, Darren McFadden, and he loves running over Spencer, and we're probably going to keep it that way.
Congratulations to Big Spencer Kaufman, the worthy Marine Scholar Athlete of the Week.
The talented Mayflower Eagles had beaten Hector in 3 straight season openers, but this year Hector has the experience to be a factor in the Class 2A title race. And the Wildcats' experience was obvious last night as Mayflower's Jared Rainey fumbles in the backfield and Hector's Nathaniel Garner makes his first of 3 fumble recoveries. And here comes Hector's junior running back Chris Miranda shooting up the middle and into the end zone. That gave Hector a 6-0 lead. Mayflower's mistakes continued on the next drive. Gio Joshua coughs up the ball and Hector falls on it. Then Hector's Chad Henderson dashes up the middle for a first down, and just a few plays later, Henderson gets into the end zone from 1 yard out. That put up Hector 12-0. Final score, Hector Wildcats 28, Mayflower 26. Little Rock Episcopal played its first ever varsity football game last night. The opponent was Caddo Hills, which resurrected its program just 3 years ago. So both teams were looking for some confidence and an early victory. The visiting Indians often move the football between the 20s, but bogged down in the red zone. On 4th and goal late in the second quarter, Caddo's fullback Michael Brewer is hit hard by Evan Bettis, and a pack of Episcopal Wildcats thwart Caddo's most serious scoring threat of the half. Episcopal led 14-0, but Caddo would cut into the lead when senior quarterback Russell Ellis hits Justin Hamner on the slant. But the upstart Episcopal Wildcats hold on to win their first varsity game. Final score, Little Rock Episcopal 14, Caddo Hills 6. And here is a look at Hootens Arkansas football Class 2A rankings. Charleston stays on top. The Tigers had no problem with Paris last night. Charleston faces a stiffer challenge next week at Gurdon. Junction City rolled over Augusta. Barton hammered number 11 Hughes 38-6. There are 30 Bears, and the good times are back on the Delta. Rising's number 4, Coach Clay Toddy's Wildcats made it 3 in a row over AAA rival Fordyce, winning 29-21 on the road last night. Bearden's number 5, and the Little Johns are number 6. Harding Academy, the defending state champs, are definitely in a rebuilding year. Harding trails Bald Knob 33-6 going into the fourth quarter last night. Hector's number 8 and Jessieville's 9. Jessieville looked sharp in whipping Murfreesboro 41-20. The Go Devils round out the top 10. Gurdon was dominated by AAA rival Prescott 34-8 last night. Hughes starts the second 11, then it's Mineral Springs, Palestine, Wheatley, Hampton, and Elkins. The Elks shut out AAA neighbor Greenland 13-0. The Buckaroos are 16, then it's Pea Ridge and Bauxite. The Miners enjoyed another opening night victory over 7AA West foe Foreman. The Outlaws are number 19, and Augusta rounds out the top 20. Now, Coleman Dairy presents the Coleman Kid of the Week. The Bryant Hornets are known for their prolific passing attack, and 2003 may be their most successful season in school history. In his first varsity start, senior quarterback Scott Peeler passed for more than 300 yards and 4 touchdowns with no interceptions as the Hornets rallied from a 2-touchdown deficit to beat Warren on Monday night at War Memorial Stadium. Scott Peeler off to a great start with the Bryant Hornets. And
thanks again for watching Hootens Arkansas football tonight. We look forward to seeing you again next week at the same time. We will be here throughout the high school football season, all the way through the playoffs in December. It's going to be a great year, and we look forward to seeing you again next week right here at the same time for Hootens Arkansas football.
Let's take it to him.